The bucket was too heavy. Beatrice Hartley knew this, but she lifted it anyway. Her arms shook as water sloshed over the rim and soaked her worn boots. The cold bit through the leather. She bit her lip to keep from crying out. If she cried out, her stepmother would hear. If her stepmother heard, there would be consequences. "You clumsy fool!" The voice came from behind her. Beatrice flinched. The bucket slipped and crashed to the stone floor. Water spread across the kitchen in a silver flood. Her stepmother, Lady Margaret Hartley, stood in the doorway. Her face was red with anger. Her silk gown rustled as she moved closer. "Look at this mess. You are useless, completely useless." Beatrice dropped to her knees. She grabbed a rag and began soaking up the water. Her hands were already raw from washing. The cold water made them burn. "I am sorry, my lady. I will clean it right away." Sorry does not help anyone. Lady Margaret stepped over the puddle. Her shoes were fine leather. They cost more than Beatrice ate in a month. "Your father should have drowned you at birth. At least then he would have saved us the trouble of feeding you." The words were familiar. Beatrice had heard them 1,000 times. They still hurt. She kept her head down and scrubbed harder. Lady Margaret left in a swirl of perfume and contempt. Beatrice stayed on the floor until every drop was gone. Her knees ached. Her back screamed. She was 23 years old and felt like an old woman. This was her life now. This had been her life for 8 years. When her father died, everything changed. Lord Edmund Hartley had loved his daughter. He had called her his little songbird. He had promised she would marry well and be happy. But he died before he could arrange it. He died and left her to the mercy of his widow. Lady Margaret had never liked Beatrice. She had her own daughter from a previous marriage. Constance was beautiful and spoiled and cruel. Together, they made Beatrice's life a living hell. Beatrice was not allowed to eat with the family. She ate in the kitchen with the servants. But she was not truly a servant. She was something worse. She was a reminder, a burden, a girl with noble blood who scrubbed floors. The servants pitied her but could not help her. They had their own worries, their own survival to think about. Beatrice had learned to survive too. She had learned to keep her head down, to work hard, to make herself small and quiet and invisible. But inside, something still burned. Some small flame of hope. Some tiny voice that said this could not be forever. She finished cleaning and stood slowly. Her dress was soaked. It would take hours to dry. She had only 2 dresses. Both were old and patched and faded. She had been beautiful once. At least her father had said so. Now she could barely remember what she looked like. There was no mirror in her tiny room in the attic. There were no mirrors anywhere she was allowed to go. Constance had mirrors. Constance had everything. She was having her 4th season in London this year. She had rejected 7 proposals. She was waiting for a duke. Only a duke would do. Beatrice wondered what it felt like to reject anyone, to have choices, to have power. She would never know. That afternoon, Beatrice was sent to gather roses from the garden. Lady Margaret wanted them for a dinner party. Important guests were coming. A duke was coming. Beatrice knew better than to ask questions. She took the basket and went outside. The garden was her favorite place. Here, no one watched her. Here, she could breathe. The roses were blooming in waves of red and pink and white. She touched them gently. They were soft as silk. She began cutting them carefully. The thorns pricked her fingers. Small drops of blood appeared. She wiped them on her dress and kept working. "How lovely." The voice was soft and mocking. Beatrice looked up. Constance stood on the path. She wore a blue gown that matched her eyes. Her blonde hair was perfect. Her smile was sharp. The little servant girl playing with flowers. How touching. Beatrice said nothing. Speaking only made things worse. "I have wonderful news," Constance continued. She moved closer. "The Duke of Thornbury is coming tonight. He is looking for a wife. Mother thinks he will choose me." The name meant nothing to Beatrice. All nobles blurred together in her mind. They were all the same, rich and powerful and uncaring. "He is very handsome," Constance said, "and very rich, and very, very particular. Mother says he has rejected a dozen women, but he will not reject me." Beatrice kept cutting roses. Her hands were steady even though her heart hurt. She had once dreamed of such things, of balls and gowns and handsome suitors. Now she dreamed only of surviving another day. "You will serve at dinner," Constance said. "Mother wants all the servants working. We must make a good impression. Try not to spill anything. Try not to embarrass us more than you already do just by existing." She laughed and walked away. Her laughter echoed in the garden. Beatrice stood alone among the roses. She looked down at the basket. It was half full. She needed more. She moved deeper into the garden. There was an old section near the back wall. Wild roses grew there. No one tended them. They grew tangled and fierce and beautiful. Beatrice loved them best of all. She pushed through the overgrown path. The wall rose before her. Beyond it was the neighboring estate. It had been empty for years, but recently, someone had bought it. Servants said a nobleman had moved in. A man who wanted privacy. A man who kept to himself. Beatrice reached for a white rose. It was perfect. She cut it carefully. As she did, she heard something. Water. Splashing water. Curiosity stirred in her chest. She should leave. She should go back. But the sound pulled her forward. There was a gap in the wall. Stones had fallen away. She could see through to the other side. She leaned closer. Her breath caught. A man stood in a natural pool. Water streamed down his body. His skin was golden in the afternoon light. His muscles moved as he lifted his arms. His dark hair was wet and gleaming. He was the most beautiful thing Beatrice had ever seen. She should look away. She knew this. But she could not move, could not breathe, could not think. He turned slightly. His face was sharp and handsome. His eyes were closed. Water ran down his chest. He looked peaceful, almost sad. Beatrice leaned farther. The stone beneath her hand crumbled. She gasped. The sound was small but clear. His eyes opened. They locked on hers. For a moment, neither moved. The world stopped. Beatrice saw surprise in his face. Then something else. Something dark and intense. She stumbled backward. The basket fell. Roses scattered across the ground. She ran. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it would burst. Behind her, she heard nothing. No shouts, no footsteps. But she felt his eyes on her all the same. The Duke of Thornbury arrived at sunset. Beatrice watched from the kitchen window as his carriage rolled up the drive. It was black and polished and pulled by 4 matched horses. Servants rushed to open the door. A man stepped out. He wore dark clothes that fit him perfectly. His hair was black. His face was sharp and handsome. Beatrice's blood turned to ice. It was him. The man from the pool. The man she had seen naked in his bath. No, this could not be happening. "That is the Duke," the cook said beside her. "Lord Julian Ashworth. They say he is very hard to please, very particular." Beatrice could not speak, could not breathe. She pressed her hand to the window. Her fingerprints fogged the glass. He looked up. His eyes found the kitchen window, found her. Recognition flashed across his face. then something else. A slow, dangerous smile. Beatrice stumbled back. Her legs felt weak. This was a nightmare. This had to be a nightmare. "Go change," the cook said. "You are needed upstairs." Beatrice wanted to refuse, wanted to hide, but she had no choice. She never had a choice. She went to her room and changed into her serving dress. It was black and plain and too short. She had grown taller since it was made. There was no money for a new one. She braided her hair and pinned it tight. Her hands shook. She forced them to be still. She had survived worse than this. She could survive a dinner. Even if the man at that dinner had seen her watching him bathe. Even if his eyes promised something she did not understand. She took a deep breath and went downstairs. The dining room blazed with candles. The table was set with china and silver. Lady Margaret sat at the head. Constance sat beside her in a pink gown that showed her shoulders. She looked like an angel. And at the other end, sitting like a king on a throne, was the Duke of Thornbury. His eyes found Beatrice the moment she entered. They followed her as she moved around the table. They burned into her back as she poured wine. She kept her hand steady, kept her face blank. Years of practice helped her now. "Your Grace," Lady Margaret said. Her voice was honey-sweet. "We are so honored by your visit. My daughter Constance has spoken of nothing else for days." Constance blushed prettily. "Mother, you embarrass me." The Duke smiled. It did not reach his eyes. "I am the one who is honored. Your home is lovely." His voice was deep and smooth. It made Beatrice's skin prickle. She moved to fill his glass. Her hand brushed the table. For just a second his hand moved. His fingers touched hers. Lightning shot through her. She jerked back. Wine splashed. A few drops hit the tablecloth. "Clumsy girl." Lady Margaret's voice cracked like a whip. "Get out. Send someone who can actually do their job." Beatrice fled. Her face burned. Her heart raced. Behind her she heard the Duke's voice. "Please, it was nothing. An accident. I moved my hand at the wrong moment." She did not wait to hear more. She ran to the kitchen and hid in the pantry. Her whole body shook. What was happening? Why had he touched her? Why had he defended her? The cook found her 10 minutes later. "You are to go to the library. The Duke wants to speak with you." Terror flooded through Beatrice. "Why? What have I done?" "I do not know. But when a duke summons, you go." Beatrice forced herself to move. Each step felt like walking to the gallows. The library was at the end of the hall. The door was open. Candlelight spilled out. She stepped inside. The Duke stood by the window. His back was to her. His shoulders were broad. She remembered what they looked like wet. She pushed the thought away. "Close the door," he said without turning. She obeyed. The click echoed like a gunshot. He turned to face her. His eyes were gray like storm clouds. They studied her face, her hair, her dress. She felt naked under his gaze. "You saw me this afternoon," he said. It was not a question. Beatrice's throat closed. She managed a nod. "I see." He moved closer. Each step was measured, deliberate. "That was my private land, my private pool. You were trespassing. I am sorry, Your Grace. I did not know. I did not mean." He held up a hand. She fell silent. He was close now, so close she could smell him. Soap and leather and something darker, something that made her dizzy. "I do not accept apologies," he said softly. "I accept compensation." Fear spiked through her. I have nothing to give, Your Grace. I am nobody. I have nothing. His smile was slow and dangerous. You saw me in my bath. You saw everything. Heat flooded her face. She looked at the floor. It was an accident. I swear it. I will never speak of it. I will forget. I do not want you to forget. His voice was dark silk. I want you to remember. Because now, I will see you. Her head jerked up. What? Fairness demands it. You saw me. Now I will see you. The room spun. Your Grace, I cannot. That would be indecent? Improper? He laughed without humor. Yes, just as your spying was improper. But I am offering you a choice. You can agree, or I can tell your stepmother what you did. I can tell her you were spying on me, watching me bathe like some common voyeur. Beatrice's world shattered. Lady Margaret would throw her out, or worse, she would make Beatrice's life even more unbearable. She would destroy what little dignity Beatrice had left. Please, Beatrice whispered, please do not do this. Something flickered in his eyes. Regret? Guilt? It was gone before she could name it. Tomorrow, he said, you will come to my estate, to the pool where you saw me, at sunset, and you will let me see you as I was seen. And if I refuse, then I will speak to Lady Margaret tonight. He had her trapped, completely trapped. Beatrice felt tears burn behind her eyes. She forced them back. She would not cry, not in front of him. I will come, she said. Her voice was hollow, dead. He nodded. Good. You may go. She turned toward the door. His voice stopped her. What is your name? She looked back. He stood in the candlelight. His face was unreadable. Beatrice, she said. Beatrice Hartley. Beatrice. He said it slowly, like he was tasting it. Go, Beatrice, before I change my mind about waiting until tomorrow. She ran. She ran through the house and up the stairs to her tiny room. She locked the door and collapsed on the bed. Her body shook with sobs she could not control. What had she done? What terrible thing had she unleashed? And why, beneath the fear and shame, did she feel something else? Something that made her skin hot and her heart race in a way that had nothing to do with terror. She buried her face in her pillow and cried until there were no tears left. Tomorrow would come. Sunset would come, and she would have to face him again. The next day crawled by. Every minute felt like an hour. Beatrice worked mechanically. She scrubbed floors, she carried water, she did everything she was told. But her mind was elsewhere. At the pool. At sunset. With him. The Duke had left after dinner. Constance had talked of nothing else all morning. He had been polite, interested. He would call again soon. Lady Margaret was already planning the wedding. Beatrice said nothing. She kept her head down and worked. The hours passed. The sun began to sink. Golden light filled the windows. Beatrice's heart hammered against her ribs. It was time. She slipped out through the kitchen. No one noticed. No one ever noticed her. She walked through the garden to the back wall, to the gap in the stones. She could see the pool beyond. The water glowed in the sunset. It looked like liquid gold. She climbed through the gap. Her dress caught on the stones. She heard it rip. She did not care. Nothing mattered now except getting this over with. The pool was surrounded by trees. It was private, hidden, beautiful. She stood at the edge and waited. Her breath came in short gasps. Her hands clenched at her sides. You came. His voice came from behind her. She spun around. The Duke stood beneath the trees. He wore simple clothes, a white shirt, dark trousers. His feet were bare. He looked different. Younger. Almost vulnerable. I said I would, Beatrice replied. Her voice shook. I keep my word. So do I. He walked closer. The setting sun lit his face. His eyes were softer than last night, less cruel. "I will not hurt you, Beatrice. I want you to know that." She laughed bitterly. "You are forcing me to undress for you. How is that not hurting me?" He flinched. For a moment, he looked uncertain. Then his mask returned. "You invaded my privacy. This is justice. This is revenge." "Perhaps." He stopped a few feet away. "But you still came. Why?" "You know why. You threatened me. I gave you a choice. That was not a choice. That was blackmail." Anger flared in her chest. It felt good. Better than fear. "You are a duke. You have everything. Power, wealth, respect. I have nothing. And still, you want to take what little dignity I have left." He stared at her. Something shifted in his expression. "You think I have everything? Do you not? I have money. I have a title." His voice was flat. "I have an empty house and an emptier life. I have expectations I never asked for, duties I never wanted. I have everyone watching me, judging me, demanding things from me." He moved to the edge of the pool. He stared into the water. "I came here to escape. This pool was the one place I could be alone, be myself. And then I looked up and saw you." Beatrice did not know what to say. His pain was real. She could hear it. But it did not excuse what he was doing. "I am sorry I intruded," she said quietly. "But two wrongs do not make a right." He turned to face her. "You are correct. They do not." Silence stretched between them. The air was thick with tension, with things unsaid. The sun was sinking fast. Soon it would be dark. "I release you from my demand," he said finally. "You do not have to disrobe. You can go." Beatrice blinked. "What?" "You were right. This is revenge. And revenge is beneath me." He smiled sadly. "Or at least, it should be. Go, Beatrice, before I change my mind again." She should run. She should leave and never look back. But something held her there. Something in his eyes. Something lonely and lost. "Why do you come here alone?" she asked. "Why not bring servants? Friends?" "I have no friends. Only people who want things from me." He sat on a rock by the pool. "My father died 2 years ago. He left me everything. The title, the estates, the responsibility. I was not ready. I am still not ready." Beatrice moved closer. She did not plan to. Her feet carried her forward. "I lost my father too, 8 years ago." He looked up at her. "What happened to you after?" "My stepmother took everything. She says she is providing for me, giving me a home. But really she is punishing me for existing." "Why does she hate you?" "Because I am my father's daughter. Because I remind her that he loved someone before her. Because she can." Beatrice wrapped her arms around herself. "I am her servant now. Less than a servant. A shadow." "You are more than a shadow." His voice was fierce. "I see you. You are not invisible." Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Understanding. Recognition. Two lonely people finding each other in the darkness. "I should go," Beatrice whispered. But she did not move. "Stay." The word was soft. A request. Not a command. "Just for a moment. Talk to me. Let me hear a voice that does not want anything from me." She should refuse. Should run. But she was tired of running. Tired of being afraid. She sat on a rock near his, not touching, but close enough to feel his warmth. "What do you want to talk about?" she asked. "Anything. Everything. Nothing," he smiled. It was real this time. "Tell me about your father. What was he like?" Beatrice had not spoken of her father in years. The words came slowly at first, then faster. She told him about her childhood, about her father's laughter, about riding horses and reading books and feeling loved. The Duke listened. He did not interrupt, did not judge. When she finished, he told her about his own father, about expectations and duty and the weight of a name. They talked as the sun set, as the stars came out, as the moon rose silver and bright. They talked about loneliness and loss, about dreams and disappointments, about all the things they never said to anyone else. Finally, the night grew cold. Beatrice shivered. The Duke stood immediately. "You should go. You will catch a chill." She rose. Her legs felt stiff. "Thank you. For listening. For letting me go. Thank you for staying." He hesitated. "Will you come back tomorrow?" She should say no. Should end this now. But she heard herself say, "Yes." His smile made her heart skip. "Good. I will wait for you." She walked home through the darkness. Her mind spun. What was happening? What was this feeling in her chest? This warmth, this lightness. She had talked to him, really talked, and he had listened. No one ever listened. She fell asleep that night with a smile on her face. For the first time in years, she dreamed of something other than survival. She dreamed of gray eyes and a gentle voice, of a man who saw her when everyone else looked away. The next day, she counted the hours until sunset. When the time came, she hurried to the pool. He was already there. He smiled when he saw her. "You came." "I said I would." They sat by the water and talked. About books, about music, about the world beyond their small corner of England. He was educated and well-traveled. She was curious and thoughtful. They fit together like pieces of a puzzle. 3 days passed this way. 3 evenings of conversation and connection. Beatrice learned about his loneliness, about the pressure to marry, about his search for someone real, someone who saw him as more than a title. He learned about her strength, about her kindness despite cruelty, about her dreams of freedom and dignity. On the 4th evening, he asked a question that changed everything. "What if you did not have to go back?" Beatrice looked at him. "What do you mean? What if you could leave that house? What if you could have a different life?" "I have nowhere to go. No money. No options." He took a breath. "You could marry me." The world stopped. Beatrice stared at him. "What?" "Marry me. Be my duchess. You would never have to serve anyone again. You would have everything you needed." "Why?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why would you want to marry me?" "Because I can talk to you. Because you make me feel less alone. Because you are kind and brave and real." He reached for her hand. His fingers were warm. "Because I think I am falling in love with you." Tears filled her eyes. "You do not know me. Not really. We have only talked for 4 days. I know enough. I know you are everything I have been searching for, everything I need." "What about Constance, your courtship?" "I never courted her. I met with her family to be polite, but I felt nothing. With you, I feel everything." Beatrice's heart raced. This was impossible. This was madness. Dukes did not marry servants, did not marry girls with nothing. "People will talk," she said. "They will say terrible things. Let them. I do not care." He cupped her face. His touch was gentle. "Say yes, Beatrice. Say you will be mine." She should refuse, should be practical. But when had practicality ever helped her? When had playing it safe brought anything but pain? "Yes," she breathed. "Yes, I will marry you." He kissed her. It was soft and sweet and full of promise. Beatrice felt something break open inside her, something that had been locked away for years. Hope. They married 3 days later. It was a small ceremony with only a vicar and 2 witnesses. The Duke wanted it done quickly, before anyone could object, before anyone could stop them. Lady Margaret had screamed when she found out. She had called Beatrice a whore and a schemer. She had threatened to expose them. But the Duke had silenced her with one cold look and a promise to ruin her reputation if she spoke against his wife. Constance had wept, but her tears were from anger, not sadness. She had lost her prize. Her Duke had chosen the servant over her. Beatrice felt no triumph, only relief. She was free, finally free. The Duke's estate was called Thornbury Hall. It was massive and beautiful, stone walls covered in ivy, gardens that stretched for acres, rooms filled with art and books and light. Beatrice walked through it in a daze. This was her home now, her home. The servants were kind. They called her Your Grace and curtsied. She wanted to tell them to stop, to treat her as they always had. But the Duke said she must accept her new role. She was a duchess now. She must act like one. It was harder than she expected. She did not know which fork to use, did not know how to speak to staff, did not know how to wear the fine gowns the Duke bought her. But he was patient. He taught her gently. He never made her feel stupid. He held her hand when she was nervous. He praised her when she did well. Slowly she began to settle in, to feel less like an imposter, to believe this might actually be real. One evening, they had dinner together, just the 2 of them in a small dining room. Candles flickered on the table. The food was rich and delicious. "You look beautiful," the Duke said. "That color suits you." Beatrice looked down at her gown. It was deep green. It felt like silk against her skin. "I still cannot believe I am wearing such things." "Believe it. You deserve beauty. You deserve everything." He reached across the table. She took his hand. "Are you happy, Beatrice?" "Yes." It was true. She was happy. Happier than she had ever been. "Are you? More than I thought possible." He smiled. "You have changed my life. You have made this house a home." They finished dinner and moved to the drawing room. A fire crackled in the hearth. The Duke poured wine. They sat together on a sofa. His arm rested along the back. His fingers brushed her shoulder. "Tell me something about yourself," he said. "Something I do not know." Beatrice thought. "I love to sing. My father used to call me his songbird, but I have not sung in years." "Why not?" "Lady Margaret said I sounded like a dying cat. She forbade me from making such awful noise." Anger flashed in his eyes. "She was wrong. Sing for me now." "I cannot. I have forgotten how." "Try." He squeezed her shoulder. "Please." Beatrice took a breath. Her voice came out shaky at first. She sang an old ballad her father had loved, about love and loss and hope. As she sang, her voice grew stronger. The notes filled the room. They were clear and sweet. When she finished, silence fell. The Duke stared at her. His eyes were bright. "That was beautiful. You are beautiful." He kissed her. It was deeper this time, more urgent, his hands tangled in her hair. She felt heat pool in her belly, felt desire spark to life. He pulled back. His breathing was rough. "I should stop. I do not want to rush you." "You are not rushing me." She touched his face. "I am your wife. I want this. I want you." That night, he showed her tenderness she had never known. He was gentle and patient. He made her feel treasured, loved, whole. Afterward, they lay tangled together. His fingers traced patterns on her skin. She felt safe, completely safe. "I love you," he whispered. "I know it is fast. I know we barely know each other. But I love you, Beatrice. I love you too." The words felt right, true. "I think I have loved you since that first night by the pool." He kissed her forehead. "Sleep, my love. Tomorrow we begin our real life together." She slept in his arms. She did not dream of the past. She dreamed of the future, of laughter and joy, of children and grandchildren, of growing old beside this man who saw her, who loved her. The next weeks were blissful. They rode together through the countryside. They read together in the library. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. He introduced her to his neighbors. Some were kind, some were cold. Some whispered behind their hands about the Duke's strange choice of bride. Beatrice heard the whispers. They stung. But the Duke held her hand and glared until the whispers stopped. He never let her face cruelty alone. One afternoon they walked through the garden. Roses were blooming. Their scent filled the air. Beatrice stopped by a white rose bush. "These remind me of the day I saw you," she said. "I was cutting roses for my stepmother, and then I heard the water, and I looked through the wall, and my whole life changed." "I was angry when I saw you," the Duke admitted. "Angry that someone had invaded my sanctuary. But now I am grateful. If you had not looked, if we had not met, I would still be alone." "So would I." He pulled her close. They stood among the roses as the sun warmed their skin. Beatrice had never felt more content, more loved, more alive. That night, they attended their first ball as a married couple. It was at a neighboring estate. Beatrice was terrified. She had never been to a ball, did not know how to dance, did not know how to make small talk with duchesses and countesses. But the Duke stayed by her side. He introduced her with pride. He danced with her even though she stepped on his feet. He made her laugh when she was nervous. An older woman approached them. She had sharp eyes and a sharper smile. "Your Grace, I must say your marriage has shocked everyone. A duke and a servant. How very modern of you." The Duke's face went cold. "My wife is not a servant. She is the Duchess of Thornbury, and she is worth 10 of anyone in this room." The woman paled. She curtsied and hurried away. The Duke turned to Beatrice. "Are you all right?" "Yes," she smiled. "Thank you for defending me." "Always. I will always defend you." They danced again. This time, Beatrice did not step on his feet. She floated in his arms. The music swelled. The candles glowed. She felt like a princess in a fairy tale. When they returned home that night, he carried her up the stairs. She laughed and protested, but secretly, she loved it. Loved feeling cherished. Loved feeling like she mattered. He laid her on the bed. His eyes were dark with desire. "I want you to know something. Every day with you is a gift. Every moment is precious. I never thought I could be this happy." "Neither did I." She pulled him down to her. "Love me, Julian. Make me yours." He did, again and again, until they were both breathless and sated and complete. As Beatrice drifted to sleep, she thought about how much had changed. A month ago, she had been scrubbing floors. She had been invisible, worthless. Now, she was a duchess. She was loved, she was seen. It felt like a miracle, like a dream she never wanted to wake from. But dreams, she would soon learn, could turn into nightmares. Happiness could be stolen, and the past had a way of coming back to haunt you. The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning. The Duke was in his study when the butler brought it. Beatrice was in the garden. She was planting roses. She wanted to fill the grounds with them. She wanted beauty everywhere. She did not hear the Duke call for her. did not know anything was wrong until the housekeeper found her. "Your Grace, the Duke needs you. In his study, right away." Beatrice's heart sank. The housekeeper looked worried. Something was wrong. Very wrong. She hurried inside. She did not bother to clean the dirt from her hands. She ran through the halls to the study. The door was open. The Duke stood by the window. His shoulders were tense. A letter dangled from his hand. "Julian?" Her voice was small. "What is it?" He turned. His face was pale. "My uncle has challenged our marriage. He says it is invalid." Beatrice felt the floor drop away. "What? Why?" "He claims you used deception, that you tricked me into marrying you. He is demanding an annulment." "That is not true. You know that is not true." Panic clawed at her throat. "You asked me to marry you. I did not trick you." "I know." He crumpled the letter. "But my uncle is powerful. He has connections in Parliament, in the church. He says the marriage was too hasty, that I was not in my right mind." "Why does he care? Why does it matter to him?" The Duke's jaw tightened. "Because if our marriage is annulled, he is next in line for the title. His son would inherit after me. But if we have children, they inherit instead. He wants to protect his legacy." Beatrice's hands shook. "What do we do?" "I will fight him. I will hire lawyers. I will go to London and fight this with everything I have." He pulled her into his arms. "I will not lose you, I promise." But his voice lacked certainty, and Beatrice heard the fear beneath his words. He left for London the next day. Beatrice wanted to go with him, but he said it was better if she stayed. The journey would be hard. The meetings would be brutal. He did not want her to face the cruelty. So she stayed. She stayed and waited. Days turned into weeks. The Duke sent letters. They were short and vague. The fight was not going well. His uncle had powerful allies. The church was asking questions. Beatrice felt her happiness crumbling. She walked through the house like a ghost. The servants whispered. They pitied her. She could see it in their eyes. Lady Margaret heard about the challenge. She sent a letter. It was full of poison and glee. She said Beatrice had always been worthless, that the Duke would come to his senses, that Beatrice would end up back where she belonged, on her knees, scrubbing floors. Beatrice burned the letter, but the words stayed with her. They echoed in her mind. What if Lady Margaret was right? What if this had all been a mistake? One night, Beatrice stood by the pool where they had first talked. The moon was bright. The water was silver. She thought about walking into it, about letting it pull her under, about ending this pain. But she did not. She was stronger than that. She had survived 8 years of cruelty. She could survive this. She went back to the house. She wrote her own letter. Not to the Duke, to his uncle. She wrote the truth. She told him about her father, about her suffering, about meeting the Duke, about their love. She begged him to leave them alone, to let them be happy. She did not expect it to work, but she had to try. The Duke returned 2 weeks later. He looked exhausted. His face was gray. His eyes were hollow. Beatrice ran to him. He held her tight. "Tell me," she whispered. "Tell me the truth. The church is considering an annulment. My uncle has convinced them I was not of sound mind, that you manipulated me." "No." Tears streamed down her face. "No, this cannot be happening. I will keep fighting. I will not give up." But she heard the defeat in his voice. He was losing. They were losing. That night they lay in bed together. He held her like she might disappear. "If they annul the marriage," he said quietly, "I will marry you again, and again, and again. I will never stop fighting for you." "What if they forbid it?" What if they say you cannot marry me? Then we will run away. We will go to Scotland, to France, anywhere they cannot touch us. You would give up everything for me. Your title, your estate? Yes. His voice was fierce. Without you, they mean nothing. You are my life now, my heart, my everything. Beatrice cried. She cried for the unfairness, for the cruelty of a world that would not let them be happy, for the love that was being ripped away. I am sorry, she sobbed. I am sorry I brought this on you. Never apologize. You have done nothing wrong. This is my uncle's cruelty, not yours. They held each other through the night. Neither slept. They just held on, afraid that if they let go, they would lose each other forever. Morning came too soon. A messenger arrived with another letter. The Duke read it. His face went white. What is it? Beatrice asked. Fear choked her. The church has made a decision. They are granting the annulment. Our marriage is dissolved. The words hit like a blow. Beatrice could not breathe, could not think. The room spun. No, she whispered. No, no, no. The Duke crushed the letter. I will appeal. I will fight this. I will... Stop. Beatrice's voice was hollow. Stop fighting. What? No. I will never stop. You will lose everything. Your title, your home, your future. All because of me. I do not care. I care. She stepped back. Tears poured down her face. I care. I will not let you destroy your life for me. I am not worth it. You are worth everything. I am nothing. The words tasted like ash. I was always nothing. Your uncle is right. I do not belong in your world. I never did. Beatrice, do not say that. I am leaving. She turned away. I am leaving before I ruin you completely. No! He grabbed her arm. No, you are not leaving. We will figure this out, together. She looked at him, at his beautiful, desperate face, at the love in his eyes. It hurt more than any cruelty ever had. I love you, she said. I love you so much it is killing me. But I have to go. For you. For your future. She pulled away. She ran from the room, from the house, from the only happiness she had ever known. She did not know where she was going, did not care. She just ran. Behind her, she heard him calling her name, heard the anguish in his voice, but she did not stop. She ran until her legs gave out, until she collapsed in a field, until she had nothing left but tears and heartbreak. She had lost him. She had lost everything. Again. Beatrice did not know how long she lay in the field. Hours, maybe days. The sun rose and set. She did not care. Finally, she stood. Her body ached. Her heart was a hollow shell. She had nowhere to go. No home, no money, no future. She walked without direction. She ended up at a small church. It was old and simple. The door was open. She went inside. The space was cool and quiet. Candles flickered by the altar. She sank into a pew. She stared at the cross above the altar. She had not prayed in years, but now she did not know what else to do. Please, she whispered, please help me. I do not know what to do. Perhaps I can help. The voice came from behind her. She turned. A vicar stood there. He was old and kind-looking. He smiled gently. You seem troubled, my child. Beatrice laughed bitterly. Troubled is one word for it. Would you like to talk? She should refuse, should leave, but she was so tired, so lost. She told him everything. About her father, about Lady Margaret, about meeting the Duke, about their love, about the annulment. The vicar listened. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Love like yours is rare," he said finally. "Most people search their whole lives and never find it. You found it, but now you are running from it." "I am not running. I am letting him go, so he can have the life he deserves." "And what about the life you deserve? What about your happiness?" "I do not matter." "You matter to him. He loves you. He chose you. And you are dishonoring that choice by leaving." Beatrice shook her head. "I am saving him." "You are breaking his heart, and yours." The vicar leaned forward. "True love is not about sacrifice. It is about standing together, about fighting together. You ran instead of fighting." His words hit her like cold water. She had run. She had given up. She had let fear and shame win. "What do I do?" she asked. "The annulment is granted. The church has spoken." The church made a decision based on lies, on manipulation. But truth has power, and love has even more. The vicar smiled. "Go back to him. Tell him you were wrong. Fight together, and trust that love will win." Beatrice stood. Hope flickered in her chest, weak but real. "Thank you, Father. Go, my child. Go and claim your happiness." She ran. She ran faster than she ever had. Back through the fields, back to the estate. Her heart pounded. Her lungs burned. She did not care. She had to get back to him. Had to tell him she was sorry. Had to fight. Thornbury Hall appeared in the distance. She ran up the drive. The front door opened before she reached it. The Duke stood there. He looked terrible. His hair was a mess. His clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were red. "Beatrice." Her name was a prayer, a plea. She stopped. They stared at each other. The space between them felt like an ocean. "I am sorry," she said. "I am so sorry. I should not have left. I should have stayed and fought with you." "You came back." His voice broke. "I thought I had lost you." "You will never lose me. Not if you still want me." He crossed the distance in 2 strides. He grabbed her and kissed her. It was desperate and fierce, and full of everything they had almost lost. When they broke apart, they were both crying. "I have something to tell you," he said. "I went to London again. I spoke to the Archbishop himself. I showed him our marriage certificate. I told him everything, about how we met, how we fell in love, how real it is." "What did he say?" "He said the annulment was granted under false pretenses, that my uncle lied, that our marriage is valid." The Duke's smile was brilliant. "We are still married, Beatrice. Nothing can separate us now." Joy exploded in her chest. "Truly?" "Truly. My uncle has been censured, his reputation is ruined, and we are free." She kissed him again. She kissed him with everything she had, with all the love and gratitude and relief she felt. "I love you," she said between kisses. "I love you so much." "I love you too, forever." They went inside together. The servants were gathered in the hall. They cheered when they saw them. Beatrice laughed. She could not stop laughing. She was so happy she felt like she might burst. That evening, the Duke made an announcement. He sent invitations to every noble family in the county. He was hosting a ball, a celebration, and everyone was invited. The night of the ball, Beatrice wore a gown of silver and gold. It fit her perfectly. The Duke had commissioned it specially. He said she looked like a queen. She felt like one. The guests arrived. Some were friendly, some were cold. But the Duke did not care. He stood at the top of the grand staircase with Beatrice at his side. "Thank you all for coming," he announced. His voice carried through the hall. "I want to make something clear. This woman beside me is my wife. She is the Duchess of Thornbury. She is the love of my life. And anyone who disrespects her disrespects me." Silence fell. Then, slowly, people began to applaud. Some were genuine. Some were just afraid to disagree with a duke. But it did not matter. Beatrice felt tears in her eyes. He had claimed her. Publicly. Proudly. In front of everyone. The music started. The duke led her onto the floor. They danced as everyone watched. It was perfect. He was perfect. "Are you happy?" he whispered. "More than I ever thought possible." "Good, because I plan to spend the rest of my life making you even happier." The ball continued late into the night. Beatrice danced and laughed and talked. She was not afraid anymore. She belonged here. She was a duchess. She was loved. When the last guests left, the Duke and Beatrice walked through the garden. The moon was full. The roses glowed silver. They stopped by the pool where they had first truly met. "I will always be grateful for that day," the Duke said. "The day you saw me bathing. The day you looked through the wall and changed my life. I am grateful too, even though I was terrified. And I was an arrogant fool, demanding to see you in return." He shook his head. "I am sorry for that. I should never have threatened you. You were hurt and lonely, and you did not know me yet." She took his hand. "But you learned. You changed. You became the man I love. You made me that man. You made me better." They kissed beneath the stars. It was soft and sweet and full of promise. "Come," he said. "Let us go home." Home. The word filled her with warmth. She had a home now, a real home, with a man who loved her, who saw her, who chose her every day. They walked back to the house hand in hand. The windows glowed with candlelight. It looked welcoming, beautiful, perfect. Inside, they climbed the stairs to their room. The Duke closed the door. He pulled her close. "I have one more thing to tell you." "What is it?" "I spoke to a doctor. He confirmed what I suspected." He placed his hand on her stomach. "You are with child. We are going to have a baby." Beatrice gasped. Her hand covered his. "Truly? Truly. Our son or daughter will inherit everything. Will know nothing but love. Will grow up strong and kind, just like their mother." She cried. They were happy tears, joyful tears. She had everything now. Everything she had ever wanted. Everything she had never dared to dream. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for seeing me, for loving me, for giving me this life. Thank you for loving me back, for making me whole, for being my home." They held each other as the night deepened. Two people who had been lost and alone, who had found each other against all odds, who had fought for their love and won. Beatrice thought about that girl who had looked through the wall, that scared, broken girl who had no hope. She wished she could tell her that everything would be okay, that happiness was coming, that love was real. But maybe that girl had known. Maybe that was why she had looked through the wall in the first place. Maybe her heart had recognized something her mind could not understand. That on the other side of fear was everything she had ever wanted. That sometimes the most improper thing you could do was exactly the right thing. That love, real love, was worth any risk, any fight, any sacrifice. And that she, Beatrice Hartley, Duchess of Thornbury, was worthy of it all. She fell asleep in her husband's arms. She did not dream of the past. She did not worry about the future. She simply existed in the present, in this moment of perfect, complete happiness. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that this was only the beginning. Their story would continue. They would face challenges. They would grow together. They would raise their children. They would grow old side by side. But they would do it together, always together. And that, in the end, was all that mattered.